California.
I got my peaches out in Georgia. Yeah, that's it. I got my dream of California. Yeah, that's it.
Dream.
Yes, the dream of California.
Yes.
I get my dreams in California, kids, not weed.
That's right.
We don't get
I
weed.
like it.
We don't get weed in California. It's 99.7 EJX. All right, let's get to some group therapy.
When you need advice, come to Ben and Kelly. It's Group Therapy on 99.7 DJX.
So, yeah, whenever you need an issue that's plaguing you kind of worked out because, we don't have any emotional connection to your situation, you can always reach out to us, Ben and Kelly Show, and we'll toss it out to our listeners, see what we can do for you.
So this is a really tough one. It's got a lot of layers, and here we go.
Mm-hmm.
She said, my relationship recently ended because although we were still in love, we were at an impasse where kids were concerned.
Yeah.
He'd gone from maybe wanting them to 100% not wanting them. I've always wanted to be a mom, so we split amicably. I moved back to Louisville, where I'm from, on the other side of the world from him. He lives in England.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I discovered I'm pregnant 2 weeks ago and am feeling conflicted about whether or not to tell him. It's definitely his. There's no question there.
Mm-hmm.
I want the baby. I have a big community of family and friends around me to help. Am I obligated to inform him knowing he does not want kids?
Yes. End.
I feel like, yeah. I mean, that's typically.
Sorry,
like
I didn't mean to cut you off.
But, she's wondering what would co-parenting even look like with an ocean between us. It almost seems kinder not to tell him, but it seems immoral at the same time.
Yes. Let's move on.
I'm also afraid he'll be angry or suggest I did it on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a way to tell him and also assure him he need have no part in it and that he's under no obligation, and I would even prefer he were not involved without being a jerk about it?
All right, can I go? Can I chime in real quick?
Well, but yes.
I'm a guy. I'm a dad. I found out my wife was pregnant, and that was kind of a surprise. And then I found out that we were having twins, and that obviously was a surprise. So, I think 100% you need to tell him. 100%. Yeah. And whatever you think he is feeling, even if he told you, no, don't want kids, when you find out that you are 100% becoming a father, there's something inside you that changes. Now,
yeah, I feel like, and he's got to, I think he deserves the chance to figure out his feelings about it.
But she wants to know, how do I tell him? And she doesn't necessarily want him to be a part of his life, which I don't necessarily agree with either. But
I know, because then you have to consider the child and what's best for the child and what kind of like psychological implications that can have, like down the road, if you find out, oh yeah, your dad knew you existed, but just didn't want to be around,
right,
didn't want to be in your life. I mean, that is going to be a difficult bridge to cross as well. But I still think everybody needs to have all of the information.
502-571-9970. This is group therapy. Maybe you have been in this situation, and maybe it's not across the Atlantic Ocean, but it's maybe just across town or across state line where you're like, man, I now have a baby daddy who doesn't know that he's going to be a father. Maybe tell us how you approach this, because maybe that can help in her situation now.
We need to help her find the words.
Yep. All right. 502-571-9970. Group therapy, this is like a moral tough one, and I don't think it has to be. However, she got pregnant. She has moved back to Louisville from England, where her baby daddy is. He doesn't even want a kid, didn't want a kid. And I don't know if anybody explained how kids come about. But now she's like, should I even tell him? And I'm like, no, I mean, you got to tell him.
I feel like, I mean, the moral right answer is yes, he deserves to know. Mm-hmm. Because like you said, it may make him feel differently. It's easy to say, no, I never want kids when you don't have any and there are none on the way.
Right.
But if the situation is different, will that change the way he feels? He deserves a chance to figure that out.
Yeah. Hey, Denise.
So she needs to tell the dad. I understand that she doesn't want to because the dad doesn't want a kid.
Right.
But the kid's going to grow up. They're going to start asking questions of where my parent, where my dad is, what happened, all this other stuff. And it's just a deal of, if he doesn't want the kid, I don't know how it works over there. I know in Kentucky, a parent can sign their rights over, which is fine.
Right.
He can sign his rights if he don't want it, but he may be asking questions, or there may be like a medical issue where you have to know the parents' lineage and their health history and stuff like that.
Yeah, Denise, I agree. I think she's got to tell him, I think that is 100% she's got to tell him. And then what he decides to do with that information is up to him.
Right. Like, I know my daughter, it wasn't like that situation. It was just where the father just didn't want to be involved at all.
Yeah.
And it was court drawn out and all this other stuff, and it was horrible. And luckily she had, I met somebody who adopted her, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
And, everything's better now.
Right.
But when they're little and they go through those growing pains and they want to, like, they have to do like a family history project of the tree and everything. I mean, he may not be a branch on there, but at least for her or him, the child, they need to know where they came from.
Denise, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think this is easy. Even though it's not, I think it's easy. You need to tell him, and then what he does with that information. I mean, there are planes that go from England to Kentucky every day.
Yes, but here's the thing. I think the biggest thing she was concerned about was, okay, if I do tell him, is he going to think I did this on purpose and that kind of thing? And I think if she's just honest with, hey, I know this was like the thing that broke us up. And so the last thing I want to do is make things awkward with us. But, this is the situation and you don't have to be involved. I'd love it if you did. All that kind of stuff. Maggie says, definitely tell him. If you do not have any expectations of him, maybe tell him that as well, so he's off the hook and doesn't feel obligated or pressured. My husband, then boyfriend, and I got pregnant very shortly after meeting. Neither one of us wanted kids. He was very reluctant through the whole thing, but once he held her in his arms when she was born, she quickly became his whole world.
Yep.
I begged for another baby for years. He adamantly said, nope, I don't want any others. I resolved to that, was okay with it. That was the case for 14 years. And last year, something in him changed. So now they've got a 15-year-old and a 2-month-old.
Look at that.
LOL.
All
The
right.
point is, people change.
Yeah. I agree. So good luck. Congratulations on everything. Please keep us updated on what you end up deciding to do. But I think everybody over here is all like, hey.
Team tell him.
Yep. Team tell him, and it'll be cool. It'll be all right. That is Group Therapy.